All right, I think we're live. Are we live? I think we're live. I'm trying some new stuff here, guys. I'm not sure if it's working though. Trying new things. Trying new things here today, everybody. Let me know. Oh, okay. Wait, all right. I'm seeing some stuff here. I'm live. I see you guys. What's going on, everybody? Trying some new things. I don't know if you can see over here. I got some graphics up here. There's a little counter that lets you know how many people are in here. And then these are like recent events, people that have done super chats. So that's what that is. And it's supposed to be if people subscribe while they're watching. Like to way to welcome new subscribers and stuff. So that's what I'm going for. And over here is supposed to be the chat is supposed to be over here. Why am I not seeing the chat? Give me 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can figure that out. Oh, there it is. There's chat. There's the chat. Well, it's hard to see. Maybe it's just because I'm colorblind. I can't see it. But look. All right. Now we got things. Let me move that over a little bit. All right. Cool. All right. I think we'll try this. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like having all these like things on the screen. But let's give it a shot. What's going on, everybody? Today is Sunday, 3 p.m., October 4th, 2020. Oh, I forgot one thing. I got to get the live stream recording started as well for the people in the live stream. Sorry, I forgot about the intro. But for people that are watching or listening, trying some new stuff, getting some widgets and stuff up here. Louis Becerra asking if we're going to play Call of Duty. I guess that's kind of like the thing that's going on. That's what I'm trying to do here, I think. I'm not sure. We'll see if I like this. But, yeah. So we're here. I just finished watching the replay, or I've been watching it, like streaming it from my DVR in Chicago to here, of the London Marathon. I just finished the women's race. What an amazing finish. I saw everyone already talking a little bit in the chat about the shoes. But before we start talking about that, let's see who's here. We got Martha's here. Remy's here. Oh, Remy hasn't seen the rest of it yet? No, he's just kidding. Louis Becerra's here. Ilya Kim. Let's see. Eric the Red. Chris McLean. JC. I saw my mom was in here earlier too. Very cool. Very cool. Today's the 4th. That's what I said. Today's the 4th, right? Okay. JC's trying to, I think, correcting me on the date, but I thought I said it right. All right, cool. So what we could see from this is that there's 58 people in here right now. That's pretty cool. I like that. I think I like this thing. I'm not sure. I can move it around or stuff. But yeah. So Rainrunner says, I haven't looked up anything related to the London Marathon. Who won? Well, Bridget Kosgei just took off and destroyed at the end. And then Sarah Hall stole second place from Chepengedich, right? So that's who came in third. Man, what a gutsy finish. It was insane. And she had some crazy new shoes on. Shoes that were apparently prototypes, but she had permission to use them somehow. I guess, I don't know. I guess if you're Sarah Hall, you can just call up the IAAF and be like, yo, I'm going to use some of these new shoes. Is that cool? And I guess they were. I think what they do these days, I don't know if they've always done it, but I think after a marathon, they collect your shoes afterwards to make sure that they comply with the rules. I don't know if that's always been a thing, but yeah. So, there was a, see, I can't read what this is here. I have to do this. But she had a medical exemption to use the ASICS prototypes. Interesting. And then someone asked, see, here's the thing. I get I see the chat here, but I also see it off screen, over here too. So I'm seeing there's just so many words all over the place here. I'm not sure if this is going to work out. But here's one thing I can't do. I haven't figured out a way using the streaming software that I use, which is free software. I haven't figured out how to make it so that way, if I'm reading your comment, I can't make it pop up on the screen like Seth does, which I'm I just want to do it like Seth. But I can't figure out how to do it without paying $20 a month, and I don't really want to pay $20 a month. I might eventually, but I'm not sure. But yeah, yeah. So she did it. Yeah, Martha says Sarah was the definition of grit. That was so gutsy. she just went after it too. And like, oh man, it was an incredible finish. And like, Chepngetich had no response. I thought that there would be some response, but like she was just like, I got nothing. I'm coming in at whatever speed I'm coming in at. Sarah, you go get it. And she went and got it. So that was crazy. Abhijit P says, what's your real name? Abhijit P, I think, is a bot. Are you a bot, Abhijit? Let me know if you're a bot. Tell me your favorite ice cream flavor if you're not a bot. Because first you asked me how tall I am, how much I weigh. Now you want to know my real name. Next you're going to ask for my social security number. I think that's what it feels like. Mark Green says, wow, more data. I love data. I do too. Should we just put in how many frames per second we're going here? It's just going to be 30. But yeah, Sharma says so many bots. I mean, I don't know. Abhijit, if you want to really have a conversation, I'd love to have a conversation. I am from India. I'm real. Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor? Yeah. So, Mr. Random says, hello team. Today I completed my first marathon distance run in 3:18. Oh, we definitely need a cowbell for that. Great job, Mr. Random. 3:18. Awesome. And that's your first marathon? Fantastic. Great work. But he did not partake in the London Virtual. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. Abhijit P's favorite ice cream is vanilla. My height and weight is, I can only tell it to you in imperial. I don't know what the metric is. I'm 5'10", weigh 143 pounds, give or take. Today I probably weigh about today I probably weigh less than that. I had a big workout today. I've had big workouts the past couple of days. And my real name is Mike. Let me turn this down a little bit. I'm a little bright. All right. Yeah, cool. Mr. Rams says, the last 3 or so miles, I was running into a headwind. How long do you think I could get my down to in an actual race? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think assuming it was the same course, here's how I think of it. I think the best thing you can do is you ran a 3:18 today, and no one can take that away from you. That's what you got. You got 3:18 today. Everything else is like interesting kind of like conjecture. Because here's the thing. You ran a really great race today. Fantastic 3:18. It's a great time. But like, if there's like the excitement of a crowd, people cheering you on, you might have gone out too hot. So you could have blown up early. So lots of bad things could have happened. On the other side, with like feeding off of the energy from a crowd, who knows? You could have easily, shaved off several minutes for that. So, there's room for improvement, So I think that there's plenty still left there in your tank. So especially if that's your first, way to go. I mean, speaking of like first, Molly Seidel's, this was her second marathon, and she had a PB today too. I forget what exactly her time was. But she came in with her PB, which I would have expected because her first marathon was the Atlanta course, which was super hilly and I don't know. There were times where I was like, I think I'd like to run in that weather. It looks like everything's just wet, a little bit damp, nice thick air to breathe in. It would be nice for running. But then I'm like, but they said 11-mile-per-hour winds. That's no joke. That's no joke. So like, Gus Constantine says we're losing you, Mike. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's up with that. Okay, I'm back up. Yeah, so internet might go in and out today. I'm not sure. Kids are streaming stuff. My wife's streaming stuff, so we'll see how it goes. All right. Daniel M says, is Molly Seidel single? I don't know. I think she is. I don't know. JC says, oh, was I caught in like the middle of a sneeze or like a weird face while I froze? All right. C Drive 300 coming in with the stats. Molly Seidel came in at 225. Sarah Hall came in at 222. Yeah. Mr. Random says the BBC was counting her out for second place. They're not the only ones though. So Dina Castor was commentating for the U.S. feed on NBC Sports, and even like just the moments before she made her last move, she's like, "Oh, there's just too much. There's not enough race left for Sarah to catch Chepngetich, so she's gonna be coming in third." And like the moment that sentence like left her mouth, she turned it on, and man, she started closing. Like even as she was saying it though, I was like, "Oh, she found another gear." And I was like looking at it. I was like, "Ooh, she's coming in." And I was like, "I don't know if this is a camera angle, but it looks like she's close now." And then she totally took over like a boss. It was crazy. Mr. Random says, "I'm wondering how much Kenyan runners has added to the stock value of Nike with shoes selling at $265 a pop due to Kipchoge." Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's sparked a revolution, or was like, I don't know if he sparked it, but he was able to ride that wave and make it bigger, So, Ilya Kim says, "Can you imagine running marathon distance in 2 kilometer laps? That would drive me crazy. All the cartoon faces." Yeah. That was like spooky. Like I thought that was really creepy. I mean, I even knew that they were there, but like, then like every once in a while you'd see them running and you'd be like, "Oh, what's that guy doing?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a cardboard cutout." That's super weird. So, Jonah Bisgold Menendian says, "Do you have any tips for running more even splits per mile/kilometer? Getting into marathon running, and that's the thing I want to fix." Well, I'll tell you, that's really hard, and it's not something that's my absolute strength. But I would say that there's kind of 2 things that you can do. One is just do it a lot, right? So run a lot of marathon pace miles. I'm not sure that that's always like the most prudent thing to do. People are saying, I've been hearing a lot of marathon runners like kind of like talk in podcasts lately, saying that like, I think people like, pros don't really run a lot of like long marathon pace mile stretches. They're like, that's something that like amateurs do, somewhat condescendingly. But one way you can get good at running, say like, like a 7-minute mile, a 7:30 mile, is to run a bunch of 7-minute or 7:30 miles and get a sense for what that feels like. The other thing to do is, if you want to make sure you're running even splits, is, sometimes one way to do it is to do more speed work. And so that way your marathon pace doesn't feel hard. So that way, like if you've been doing more tempo work or threshold work, then when you come back to marathon pace, you just got to figure out, look at your watch. Oh, okay, this is what I got to do. And it's not an effort for you to do it. So that way you can just maintain kind of that thing. So that would be my advice. Chris McLean says, "My kids were screaming at the TV for Sarah on that last 800 meters. That's so cool. That's really so cool." Yeah. Let's see. Sean Marshall says, "Did you record it or were you up at 2 a.m.? Oh, she's talking to Martha. But me, I definitely recorded it. Sean Marshall also asks, "Did Sarah Hall get DNFs in the last 2 marathons because of injury? Did she? I don't know. No, because did she finish the Atlanta trials? I don't remember. I mean, she was a heavy favorite coming in. But I don't remember seeing her cross the line. And I was like following, so I don't know. Maybe someone could look that up real quick. Yeah. Yeah, so we think maybe she did DNF the last 2. Stevie76 says, "I'm going to put a cardboard cutout of Kofuzi in my front yard to inspire me to run, not a lead." That's pretty funny. That's really funny. Let's see. See, I got to fix these colors because I can't read, and make these names bigger because I can't read these names. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm looking at them and I'm like, "Ooh," and then I'm looking at my other screen that shows me like the chat in a way that doesn't make them disappear. Jody says, "I like the Japanese marathon style where they go hard in the hope they will have a good race. They may only get 1 out of 10 good results, but that 1 is fast." I mean, I didn't know that was more the Japanese marathon style. I would like, if you told me that, describe that style, and I were to like have to like peg it, I would have pegged it as more of like Kenyan style of marathon racing, because that's what Darren on Finn's book, Running with the Kenyans, he talks about that a lot, where they're like, everyone goes out with the leaders because they figure, either it's going to work or it's not. And like, there's no point in having like, having a personal best. It doesn't really matter if you don't win, kind of thing. So it's a crazy style, but I can see the draw and the allure for it. SDAM says, "Kofuzi, do you take any joint support supplements?" I don't. but I've been looking at a lot of them lately because my knee's been bothering me a little bit. So I've been thinking about it, but I don't know. We'll see. Just because I feel like there's two things that are going on. One is that like it's a crazy rabbit hole to go down, and the way that some of these things are not regulated as much as other things makes me a little bit concerned. And then I'm just like, I don't know. There's just, how do you tell if they're working? You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. Just a lot of uncertainty. And then the other thing is, I generally don't like to take too many supplements as well. As a general rule, I used to have really bad vertigo. And when I had vertigo, I probably was the most supplemented I've ever been. Like I was taking vitamin D, I was taking a daily multivitamin. My mom had sent me like royal jelly, which is like a honeybee product. And I was taking like a whole bunch of things, and I felt like, oh, these should all make me feel better. And then they didn't. So I'm like, and then I stopped taking them. And then with running and diet change, I don't know which one it was, or if it was just coincidental, the dizziness went away. And since then I've been like, oh, maybe I should start taking vitamins again. And when I have, some symptoms of dizziness would kind of like resurface, or like kind of start to resurface. Kind of like when people have like, can sense they have like a panic attack coming, I can tell when I'm going to get dizzy. And I would get that sometimes. So I don't take a multivitamin anymore. So I'm a little bit scared of those. Danny J says, is gap or grade adjusted pace a better estimate of effort than average pace? I probably, but I at the same time, like, is there a way to see that in real time? The only way that I know of to get grade adjusted pace is in Strava, like after the run. But I don't know of a watch that can give it. Is there a watch that can give it to you like in real time? I'm not sure. Rainrunner says, I miss living in New York City and seeing the marathon running through my neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, the Chicago Marathon goes right by our house. And, the last couple of years I've been running it, so I haven't watched it go by the house, but I miss running by my house, I guess is what I'm saying. I miss the Chicago Marathon. Danny J says, you should at least take turmeric. I've been thinking about that, and the one thing that I do take, is it count as a supplement? I do the Unived recovery mix, and that has a lot of turmeric in it. I mean, I feel like it's basically mostly turmeric, and then some like flavorings, but that has turmeric in it, and I usually take that after like a really hard workout. Let's see. Lulu712 says, howdy Kofuzi. Is there generally a strong relation between millimeter drop and the speed of a shoe? For instance, is a greater millimeter drop associated with a faster shoe? No, there isn't. There isn't a lot. What I tend to see is speed shoes, like longer distance. I mean, I don't know about like what sprinters like. But for long distance runners, a lot of the distance runners tend to like their like speed trainers in like the 6 millimeter category. The daily trainers are in the 10 millimeter category. And it used to be that the racers were in the 4 millimeters or less category. But with like the super thick shoes coming out, those all generally tend to be 10 millimeter shoes. Even like the Endorphin Pro, they wanted that to be a 4 millimeter shoe to mirror the Kinvara. But they couldn't get it to turn over quickly. And so they made it a 10 millimeter shoe. But just because it's 10 millimeters doesn't mean it's faster. That's why I don't like that number, the 10 millimeter, because it doesn't tell you much of anything. The Brooks Ghost is a 12 millimeter drop shoe. I think the Wave Rider 23 was a 12 millimeter drop shoe. And I don't consider either of those speed shoes. So like I think that a lot of it is like a matter of fit and preference, what you like. It does help feel like the shoe turns over faster because, you don't get like stuck in the gate, and instead it makes you be on your toes. So, so that's kind of like how I feel about heel drop. I know I mention it in all the shoes, but like, I care about how much cushion there is in the forefoot, but I don't usually care all that much about how much heel drop there is. if that makes sense. All right. Gus Constantine likes bulletproof coffee with turmeric in it. Interesting. Ben Y says, I like to eat my turmeric. I like to eat it too. Since like the pandemic, our Indian food consumption has gone down precipitously because I can't really make it. What I would used to do is we would buy this stuff that was like kind of like tomato sauce in a jar, but like different like Indian simmer sauces. They weren't like spectacular, but like for something that I can make at home with a bunch of lentils and some tofu or cauliflower in it, it hit the spot. I think we should order some more again. I gotta remind my wife. We should put that on the shopping list because we haven't had that in a while. But yeah, I like that. All right. Martha says, there are so many interesting interacting factors besides drop, midsole design, foam characteristics, which can affect measurements as you land, etc., etc. Yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it. And here's where I think that the shoe companies really need to step up, is that they need to be more precise as to like what they think this shoe is for. Like, I think that it used to be like, if you just put words out there, responsive, cushioning, running, like if you just put like buzzwords in the copy for the website, people will buy it if they think it looks nice. But I just think that like, imagine if they tried to sell like golf clubs or knives like that. Instead of telling you like, this is like a 6-inch chef's knife, this is a 9-inch chef's knife, this is a paring knife, this is a boning knife. Here are things that boning knives are good for. Like, that's how you sell stuff, right? But like, still, if you look at like a lot of websites for shoes, it's just like, have a spring in your step with the fantastic responsiveness of this shoe. It's super firm. It's also the most cushioned shoe you'll ever have. Like, it's like these are opposite sentences. Like, this doesn't make sense. So I think that's where like there is a lot of room for improvement. All right, Martha's coming in with the confirmation that Sarah Hall did drop out of the Olympic trials, so it was a DNF. Stephen Gersdorf says, here's a factor. Foam compression. Doesn't the foam and outsole eventually flatten out, evening out the drop as it molds to your foot? I don't think it always necessarily evens out, because what if there is differential compression, right? So what if like, because some like the Brooks Ghost, for example, has two different midsole foams. It's got Biomogo and then DNA something. Right, so one is like super soft and cushioned for like the crash pad area and the heel for heel strikers, and the other one is a little bit more firm in the forefoot. So there is that, and even if it's say like a Pegasus 36, which was Cushlon, and that foam definitely compressed over time, or like a Hoka EVA. What if you're landing on the toes more often, the forefoot's going to be compressed more than the heel is, so that might exacerbate a heel drop. In my Mizuno Wave Riders 23s, I felt like the heel definitely compressed more than the forefoot. So I felt like what started out as a 12 millimeter heel drop ended up being more like an 8, maybe a 10 by the time I was kind of done with it. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. And the other thing to also consider, aside from the heel drop and the foam compression itself, is like, what is the apparent heel drop, like when your foot is actually hitting the ground? So I just feel like there's a lot more to it, and it would be a lot more helpful if, and I think you've seen a lot of the shoe reviewers do this already, where they're like, this is your max cushion shoe, this is a daily trainer, this is a speed shoe, this is a racing shoe. So they're already differentiating into categories to help you kind of understand the shoes. But the shoe companies are really reluctant to do that, because they would rather sell you a shoe that you might be unhappy with because you were looking for a max cushion shoe, but you bought a speed shoe on accident, because they want the sale. It just feels like a lot of the time, to be very, I guess, skeptical about it, But I think that it'd be a lot more helpful if there were like, here's what we think this shoe is great for. A lot of people might find other uses for it, and it might be pretty versatile, but like, because like when they design a shoe, they have a person in mind. A certain kind of runner doing a certain kind of run when they design a shoe. If they don't, I mean, I guess that explains a lot too. But, so I feel like they should tell us who that runner is. Yeah. Martha says, turmeric pepper tea from India we have is called Vadam, and it's great. Ooh, turmeric pepper tea? That sounds spicy, but it sounds interesting. All right, Gus Constantine says, 1080 V10 after 300 miles. Definitely does not feel like it did in the beginning. Duh, Fresh Foam X, I believe, is EVA foam or a variation of that. Definitely got compressed. I feel like Fresh Foam X is their Fresh Foam material, which I believe is EVA, with like some rubber in it, because it's a little bit bouncier, and I do feel like it lasts a little bit longer than like regular Fresh Foam ground contact. That's my take on it. Stephen Gersdorf says, isn't turmeric the main ingredient of chili powder? It is? I didn't know that. And Rainrunner says, apparently the pepper is paired with turmeric to bring out the compounds in the turmeric or something. Interesting. Danny J, it's the consumer black hole. What is really necessary? Do we even need shoes at all? It could be a big marketing ploy just to get people to spend $1,000 per year on shoes. I know I've been sucked in. I mean, I guess you're getting kind of existential about it, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, Danny J's turmeric is not the main ingredient of chili powder. That would be chilies. I would hope. But, you know, I don't know what really goes into chili powder. Vergnet P says, do you guys want/need an app to analyze your run and training? I mean, that's what Strava is, isn't it? I also use Polar Flow, so there's lots of different ones out there. A lot of people use Training Peaks. I've always found Training Peaks to be kind of like daunting a little bit. It looks cumbersome to me. Every time I've seen like someone screenshots of it, I'm like, this interface looks pretty old. And not that that doesn't mean it can't be a really good product, but I just feel like there's going to be a lot of things to learn about this. Ryan Pauly says turmeric is not in chili powder. I wouldn't know. Sean Marshall said, let's buy some waffle irons and power them in the industry with a new Kofuzi brand. I mean, I think that's what Atreyu is trying to do. Not with a Kofuzi brand, but like I think they're trying to like figure out a new way to kind of, disrupt the existing like ecosystem. And it says, modern running shoes are great though. When you find a shoe that fits, it feels so good. I agree. I think there's a lot of like pessimism out there, but I've been saying for a long time, it's a great time to be a runner because there's just fantastic shoes out there. We're not in a time where you have to I mean, I still get the comment every once in a while on a specific, on certain shoes where you're like, oh, you really got to break it in. It's going to take you like 50 miles before you like it. And I'm like, what? Like, that's a substantial portion of the lifetime of the shoe before I even start enjoying it. That seems weird in 2020. For the most part, I don't feel like you need to break in shoes. It's been a long, I mean, I guess I'm not buying shoes from, I'm getting more, I guess, the flagship shoes, but it's been a long time since I put on a pair of shoes and I've been like, things are wrong with this. I mean, I haven't come across that at all. Like for the the Hyperion Elite, the version 1, I didn't like that one, but I could see like some people might like it. Not many, but I can see that this is designed with someone in mind. It's not, that person's not me, but you know what I mean? But so it's it's a good time to be a runner. There's lots of good shoes out there. Are there shoes that maybe are providing things that we don't need? I don't know, perhaps, depending on your philosophy on running, but if you're a minimalist or not, but I don't know. Johannes says, what's your favorite shoe of all time? Pegasus 33 Shield. It was a beautiful shoe. I love the colors. It was very functional. I ran with it all winter long. And it was the first shoe that I ran in all winter. That's the first time I ran all winter. And I ran in the Chicago winter, and I was like, I didn't think that was possible. So it kind of sentimental value, it opened up a lot for me. Stevie76 says, is there a break-in period for bikes? I wouldn't know. So today, speaking of bikes, I did that 2-hour ride today, and I did it actually in less than 2 hours. So I rode 21 miles or so in like an hour and 50 minutes. I thought it was going to take me about 2 hours and 10, 2 hours 15. But I felt like I did a pretty good job on it. I feel like I've been making progress on the bike. I definitely like attacked the hills a little bit, and so I'm going to be tired tomorrow for sure. But I enjoyed that ride. I've done that ride one other time before, and I hated it. I was miserable with like 6 or 7 miles to go. But this time I enjoyed it like pretty much the entire time. And so it was a good ride. And so I don't know if it's that the bike has broken in, or if or if my butt has finally like calloused enough. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'm not sure which one of those it was, but I had a good bike ride today. I got more on that story, but first I want to get to this question. Pratik Sachdeva says, just want to know, Beacon 2 or 1080 V10, which shoe I go for? Both are good choices, so I feel like you're not picking a bad shoe between either one of those. I think it comes down to how much cushion do you want. Do you want a more cushion feel? That's the 1080 V10. If you want something that is a little bit more lightweight, but just as versatile, if not, I think it leans a little bit more towards speed than the 1080 V10 does. The 1080 V10 is a little bit heavy, but if you want something that's still very versatile, a lot of fun, one of my favorite shoes, and can go fast in it as well, then it would be the Beacon 2. So it's up to you. And it says, we'll make a cyclist out of you yet. I don't know. The last 2 rides I've had were good. I enjoyed it. And then we also went for a family bike ride after that. So like I ran 5 miles today. I rode 20. And then I also then went on a family bike ride. So I feel like I got a lot accomplished today. That's why I couldn't watch all the marathons today. So I feel like I've done a lot. Feel good about it. Steven Gersdorf says, shoes feel good out of the box these days. But don't you think from about 50 to 150 miles is a sweet spot for any shoe? Yeah, I do think that there's a sweet spot. Like 50 is when like I feel like to the extent that like the insole will mold to your foot a little bit and the foam might compress just a little bit, especially with Hokas. That's like when they're great. 50 to 150 miles. It's absolutely fantastic. But certain shoes like React Foam shoes, like the 1080 V10, I think like the Fresh Foam X, those shoes that I think have like a little bit of rubber in them, they just last forever. And so I think that they're great. So I think that the sweet spot is a lot wider on some of those shoes. Martha says, my glutes are activated and calloused. Well, my glutes are activated, I think. I think what's calloused is more like my rear end, I guess, like the hide. I don't know, or maybe just the bones that are back there are just a little bit more accustomed to the beating. But I'm broken in. I think is the best way. I think that's the best way I can put it. Ken Wu says, hi Kofuzi, is the Ride 13 that different from the ISO 1 or 2? If I don't mind the hotness of the upper of ISO 1 and 2, I can get it cheap. Should I get an ISO instead of a 13? I prefer the 13 a lot because the ISO 1 and 2, I felt like they were a lot more rigid of a platform on the bottom. And so like I felt like with a 13, I felt like my foot could do like what it needed to do for the most part. But in the ISO versions, I felt like it was very stiff. So like the shoe like just landed. And it was Everrun. It was still a comfortable foam. But I just didn't feel like it was letting my foot move in the way it wanted to. It was telling my foot how to land a little bit more. So like it depends on how much cheaper and that value. I can't answer that question for you. So like if it's like half the price or like a quarter of the price, it depends on how much that's worth to you. I prefer the 13, but how much better? I like it a lot better, but finances are very personal. So that's ultimately going to be up to you. But that's how I would look at it. Yeah, Stephen Gersdorf says, if you have wires on the bike, they must be adjusted after initial stretching. I do have wires on that bike. I guess I might need to adjust them. Okay. Yeah, Mark Rainey says, I wonder if the data goes past 2 digits. He's talking about this number over here. Sure hope we see 100 today. We'll see. We'll see if we get to 100. Yeah. Danny J said, the Rise ISO I've heard was a huge flop. I would definitely go with the 13, but I'm biased. Yeah, I mean, I I've liked the Ride series. I mean, the Ride 10 was probably my favorite one. Again, mostly for sentimental reasons. But it came in a Gore-Tex version. And that was pretty awesome. I loved that shoe. I ran in that all winter long. I ran in that in sub-zero temperatures. So it was a great shoe. But yeah. The ISO versions were not as good. The Ride 13, I think, definitely brought it back and put it on the map for me. Rainrunner says, what's the family doing today as an activity? Well, this morning we went on a bike ride. And so we were over at the Heritage Trail and we rode for about an hour today. So that was fun. The baby was in the carrier. So I hauled her along, I guess, in that trailer thing. So that was fun. And then we got back and my wife was super tired because yesterday we went on a family hike. And then my wife went with her mom, my mother-in-law, because she's doing a walk for breast cancer. She has to walk 35 miles, I think. And so over a certain period of time. So my wife went on a walk and then today she went on the bike ride. And by the time she got back, she was like super tired and a little bit grumpy. And the kids were just still bouncing off the walls. And I was exhausted because I did a run, a ride, and then a second ride. So we're like, me and my wife were kind of like hiding at the kitchen table. And we're like, what are we going to do with these kids? They're so energetic. Why aren't they tired? So we got to figure out something to do after the live stream today to wear them out even further. Because they're insane. They have just endless energy. I don't know. So we'll see what else we got left. But we did the bike ride today. And that was really nice. We had a really good ride. Jennifer Apple says, the Ride 19 was my first marathon. Oh, much better. I want to try the 13s. Cool. Yeah, I like it. Stephen Gerdstorff says, Ride was good tech for a few years ago, but the Ride needs to be refreshed a little, in my opinion. I mean, I thought this year's refresh was pretty good. I liked it. I felt like it was much more flexible in a good way in terms of like the forefoot versus the heel. So like when your foot lands, it lets you land kind of how you want. But yeah, I mean, Rainrunner says, haha, wow. Being a parent sounds like a tough job, Kofuzi. Glad you're keeping everyone active. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get in as much activity now as we can because we feel, leaves are changing. It's fall. It's cold. Today was warmer than yesterday, I think. Or was it? No, today was colder than yesterday. Oh, it was really cold. I didn't think I was going to make it on that bike ride. I thought, for the first 15 minutes of the bike ride, I was so cold. I was like, I'm going to have to turn around. This is too cold. And I even had, my thicker winter, mittens on. My running mittens, but I didn't have any hand warmers, so I was freezing. Fortunately, the sun then popped up right as I was I need to turn around. The sun popped up and then I warmed up. But it's definitely the cold is coming, so we're it's gonna not be long before we can't really take the kids out for very much. So we're we gotta really get them outside while we can. So we feel an urgency there. Stevie76 says, one of the runners in the lead pack of the London Marathon was looking down the entire time he ran. Like he was looking down at the runner's feet in front of him and zoning out. Maybe he was trying to get some intel on some prototype shoes. But I definitely look down a lot when I run. Or I look really far in the distance when I'm trying to zone out. When I'm trying to intentionally zone out. I'll focus on something really far in the distance and just kind of stare at it as I run. Or my natural gaze just goes a couple feet in front of me. And so that's definitely how I run. I know it's not good for my running posture, but it's something that I do. And something that I've found myself doing a lot over the last couple of days when I've been on the bike and I've been enjoying it is I would just kind of stare down. I mean, I have to look ahead just to make sure there's no cars or the more pressing concern, because the roads are really long and I could see for forever. The thing I'm more concerned about is an animal jumping out in front of me. So I'll kind of have to look up periodically. But I love the view of the road rushing by you, and then there's the white line, and then there's your wheel, and then watching how they kind of dance like this. It's have you ever been on a boat when dolphins are swimming next to it? It's kind of like that, and I was just hypnotized by it for a long time. So I was this I like. I was oh, I like this. But I'm I got to keep looking up because I don't want to crash into a raccoon or a deer or something like that. Because like, can you imagine that story? Like if I had to like call my wife, and be like, hey, can you come pick me up? Bring your dad's truck. I hit a deer with my bicycle today. You know, like that'd be bad. But yeah, I was definitely like letting myself get hypnotized a little bit. And it says one of my friends looks down when mountain biking. That's why he falls off so much. I can imagine that. There's just so many obstacles and turns and terrain. Yeah. KJKD says, late to join. Have you spoken about those TUE ASICs that got second place in today's marathon? They look cool, a bit unstable perhaps. Yeah, I don't know what those ASICs are called. They look like a Meta Racer. We talked about it a little bit. It looks like a Meta Racer upper. I mean, here's the thing. It looks like a Meta Racer upper. It's probably got a carbon plate in it, and it looks like a bunch of foam, super thick stack height. And what I'm really hoping it is, that it is a formulation of a fresh foam blast. I always call it fresh foam. Flight foam blast, FF blast. That's what I'm really hoping it is. Because like what I wanted when I ran in the Meta Racer, love that shoe, but I couldn't run in that for like a marathon. I love the Nova Blast, but that is a shoe that doesn't scream speed to me. But if you combine those two, that would be like, I'm like, there's ASICS marathon super shoe. Do it. So I'm hoping that that's what that is. And I'm hoping the reason why Sarah Hall was allowed to run in that shoe today, even though that shoe's not been announced, no one's ever seen it before, but she had permission somehow to run in it, is because that's coming. So I'm super excited for that. Does anyone reached out to Jamie yet? Has Jamie seen that? We gotta see what his thoughts on that are. I don't know. Pretty cool. Yeah. Danny J says, do you look down because your neck is straight and you have a forward lean, or because your neck is craned? I look down a lot, but I also lean forward a lot. I'm not sure. Who knows? Ben Y says, by the way, I got the Aftershocks Aero Pecs. Thanks for the recommendation, guys. Love them already. Very cool. Very cool. Ben Y saying, Sarah Hall made ASICS great again. Yeah, but you know what? There were a lot of ASICS racers out there, and I couldn't tell what they were running in. Well, I guess like, so I was like, who did I see? I think it was like Lindsay Flanagan. She's an ASICS runner, right? She had a white shoe on, but I guess like the Meta Racer Tokyo edition is kind of like that cream color, right? But then I saw like Alicia McColgan. She was a pacer, but she's an ASICS runner. She was in like just regular Meta Racers, I think. But then I thought I saw other ASICS racers with like a third color of shoe. So I feel like there's a lot of other things that are out there. And then granted, I'm not completely familiar with the entire like ASICS lineup. So there very well could be like, some variant of Evo Ride or some other like racer that people were running in. But like there was a lot of shoes where ASICS runners where I was like, what is she wearing? And what is she wearing? How come I don't know what that is? What is that? So like that, I just got so many questions. So many questions. Martha says, Kofuzi, knowing me, what do you think my best 5K to 10K shoe would be? Meta Racer? Any others? Well, I mean, if it's not the Hyperion Elite version 2, I think that the Tempo would be a really good choice for you. I think that the Meta Racer would be a good choice for you as well, because of the fact that I think that foam, it's like a little bit firm, but when you're moving faster, it's got a really nice spring to it, which does remind me quite a bit of the Hyperion Tempo. So I feel like that would be a good one to think about. I know you sent me that footage of the RC Elite. I haven't had a chance to look at that one yet, though. But that's one that I would kind of think about. But let me look at that footage. I got to do that. Yeah. KGKD said, I read she had a TUE, like a temporary use exemption, right? Is that what it's called? I think otherwise the stack height is not race legal. Perhaps an injury, plantar fasciitis. Yeah, it's confusing. I'm not sure how that all worked. They didn't elaborate very far. And that's all the information I have is from the announcers that were like, oh yeah, Sarah Hall is running in a prototype shoe today. By the way, let's talk about shoes and how that's changed the industry. You know, that kind of thing. So, Burke, Worker says, can you do some gravel running in the endorphin speeds? Absolutely. I did a 30-mile run race. Well, FKT. I did a 30-mile run on crushed limestone. So I suppose like it would depend on how gravelly the gravel is. Unless, is gravel a term of art? Does that mean something? Or does gravel just mean like, like a rocky road type surface? I was on crushed limestone, and it was fantastic on that. Yeah. Jennifer Apple says, how far I look down is directly related to how tired I am. That's pretty funny. That makes sense. That makes sense, though. Yeah. Stephen Gersdorf says, we should feel lucky. I work in the inner cities. You see so many people running in Chuck Taylors, Vans, and basketball shoes. That's true. That's true. People running whatever they got, So that's a good thing about running is that you can at least run it. You don't necessarily have to be in a specific type of shoes, but I would have a hard time running in Chuck Taylors. Though I've never had Vans before, but Chuck Taylors, I mean, that's just a rubber just like a rubber midsole. It's just all rubber, I think. So, not the most comfortable type of material. I had a pair of Lunarlon Chuck Taylors, but they were just regular Chuck Taylors with a Lunarlon insole. They still weren't that comfortable. Oh, Jay Kuzar says, did you see Ben Parks went sub 3 in the Tempo Next? Did you really? I didn't think that he would like that shoe. Awesome. Sean Marshall says, guys in the food department, I've already finished half of my everything bagel seasoning from Trader Joe's. Good work, Sean. Jody says, I have an issue with Sarah Hall being allowed to wear a prototype. Is this going to open up for other athletes to falsely claim medical reasons and shoe industry taking advantage of this? Yeah, I'm not aware of the fact that people can use a medical reason to so that's like new to me. I'm not aware of any exceptions to the rules in terms of like an exception to the reasonably available requirement of it. I don't think that the shoe was too tall. My understanding was that the shoe fell within regulation, but it just wasn't reasonably available. In the sense that like unsponsored athletes could purchase it if they wanted to. So like that's what I think the exception was. But like to that rule, so like I don't know. Yeah. So like it is concerning because if it's possible that Sarah Hall could do it, then of course lots of other people are going to find ways to do it too. So it is. I see your concern there, and I agree. It is concerning. Because if something has to be reasonably available, that means that I have a chance of buying one. Like the Adios Pro, though, would you guys consider that reasonably available? Like it was announced like with no fanfare or build up, just kind of dropped literally the same week as the Adizero Adios Pro. And like 6 people got them. So is that reasonably available? I feel like it has to be available to more than just sponsored athletes, friends, and family, right? So like, but I don't know, like, what does that really mean? Let's see. KGKD says, for what it's worth, I ran laps of Hyde Park this morning next to St. James Elite Race, and there were lots of non-elite runners with their bib numbers on. Really inspiring. I counted 23 and cheered them all. That's cool. I was wondering how they kept spectators out of there. Because, like, I mean, how do you keep people out from a race like that? That would have been amazing to watch. But, like, I understand why they wanted to have no spectators there. But they must have had to set up a pretty wide perimeter. All right, let's do, yeah. GJ says, they keep people away from there with the law and with fines. Okay. Yeah, I suppose that works. Oh, Chris Yao says, I quit my job today. Sell my running shoes for income. Did you really quit your job today, Chris? Wow. Well, I hope that's a good thing. Yeah. Mark Ray says, Confucians, will data change the game? This number, I think he's talking about this number, will be 1,000 by the end of the year? I don't know. I don't think we topped 100 today. I think 89, I think is the highest we got. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how high it gets. I think I've seen it before where I get stats afterward that tell me like the max number of concurrent viewers. I think we've had 100 before. But I mean, I think this is a little bit higher than what we normally get. So pretty happy to see everybody here. Oh, Jody says we got to 94 today. Oh, I didn't see that. Cool. All right, let's do one more. We'll do one from Matt LeGrand. What's going on, Matt? And then I got to get going. I got to wear out these kids before it gets too dark. And it gets dark here early. Anyway, Matt LeGrand says, do you do your long runs Sunday or Saturday? There's a lot riding on this answer. Is there really? Well, I don't really have a specific day. A lot of it depends on what my time constraints are like. But I prefer to do them Saturday. I try to do like my long run on Saturday, and then Sunday I could do like a longer recovery day because I like to stack the workouts on Saturday and Sunday, and just make it a big weekend to get that cumulative fatigue in there. But I prefer to have like the harder day be Saturday. But I've done it the other way around too. So yeah, so there's that. All right. I think that's a good place to end it for today. Thanks to the 84 of you guys that are still here. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. This just seemed like a lot of like stuff for the sake of stuff. So I'm not sure if we're going to keep it. You know what? Tomorrow we'll try that StreamYard because I got like a free trial. We'll see if we like that. I can highlight some of the comments. We'll see if we like that too. So let's check out that tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a Monday mukbang. Maybe it won't. It'll depend on if my wife got anything interesting in the grocery shopping for this week. So we'll see how it is. But tomorrow I'll have a video. I'm going to talk about my fall running essentials. So for those of you who have been asking for that, that'll be coming out tomorrow, hopefully, in the morning. And then we'll try some more new weird craziness on the live stream. So hopefully I'll see you guys then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.